Good evening, Berbice. Good evening, Guyana. Welcome to another Alliance on the Move. This evening, I'm very, very happy to have with me David Patterson, General Secretary of the AFC. And you guys know I'm Kathy Hughes. Good to be spending Saturday evening with you. David, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. And good evening, Barbie. Good evening, Region 5, 6, Kokwani, in those areas, the CS. It's my pleasure to be here with you again. My pleasure to try and share a bit of information with you. Just absolutely awesome.
Great, great. So, how was today, David? How was Saturday
Oh,
in
Saturday was
David
quite.
Patterson's life?
Saturday today was quite good. I mean, I did a bit of work, literally
Good.
manual work and those things like that. I mean, and then I remembered how much I missed it. I mean, there's so
Mm-hmm,
much. You mean the last 2 weeks we were in Parliament. I mean,
mm-hmm,
so you didn't get to do as much as you can you normally like to do. But I
mm-hmm.
mean, so today was absolutely awesome. Still continues because I'm here, and
Yes.
yes, it's my first.
Well,
Yeah.
like you, I was able to catch up on some stuff around the house. And let me tell our viewers, you have no idea what it takes to be in Parliament nonstop from, all of last week that just finished and, of course, the week before. And just to remind you, we went through the budget hearings where we had, of course, it started 3 weeks ago with the minister presenting what is the largest budget ever in Guyana's history. And then we literally only had about 4 days break. Normally we have a little longer than that. And then all the opposition MPs had to prepare their speeches, do their analysis of the budget. And I think we had some very interesting budget debates. I want to say to the viewers, remember that those speeches and presentations, I should say, are posted on the Parliamentary website and also on the AFC website and our Facebook pages and the App New website also. So if you want to catch up on our thoughts and so, you can go there. But you're going to get a little summary tonight. Because, David, I really thought that we could start by giving our viewers in Region 5, Region 6, as you said, Kwakwani, they're seeing us all over. Give them a feel about the challenges we found with this budget. Because although it was the largest, we feel that not enough trickled down to Guyanese. It didn't put more money in the pocket of Guyanese citizens. So give me some of your thoughts on it.
No, I mean we said it from day one. What I mean. So it's the largest budget setter, and I'll tell everybody all our viewers that every single budget after this one will be the largest budget ever. We are now an oil producing country. I think yesterday was it yesterday, Kati, that the
Yep.
second FPSOs come on, which means that we'll be getting more money into our coffers in or in Guyana, but our contention wasn't the money. It's what you do with it. What I mean? If you win the lotto, if you won the lotto, you got out and you dreamt six numbers last night and you win the lotto. It's not winning the lotto. That's really good. You're euphoric and you're good. But then what are you going to do with this extra money? Because, of course, you have several things you have to think about. Your children, how are you going to educate them? I mean, when you've won a lotto, you have this extra set of money. What you going to do? I'm going to put some for my children, and then I'm going to fix up my house. I'm going to build a house for
Mm-hmm.
my daughter and my son, so when they get married, they can move in and those things like that. And literally, that is what our discussion on the budget was about. Guyana won a lotto in 2015. Oil was discovered. So we don't. Guyanese have to do absolutely nothing. We sit where we are, me and you sit where we are, and every single day, Exxon, who is the operator, is pumping oil.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this bonanza of money. And it's just the exact same thing if you won the lotto. You have to decide now what is it I'm going to do with the money? Who am I going to prioritize? My mother, who wanted her NIS to be increased, my mother, who's ill, who needs better
Yeah.
health care and those things like that, you know what I mean? Am I going to put some money aside of this lotto winning? You win $10 million, just a number, or $1 million. I'm going to put $200,000 aside for my mother, $400,000 aside for my kids, $100,000 to fix my house, and etc.
Mhm.
And that was the basis of our discussion for the entire 2 weeks of the month. Yes, we have the money. Yes, you have the biggest budget ever. However, how are you going to speak it? How are you going to spend it? And that's what that was the entire recurring theme. Cat, you know that of the budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the middle of COVID, you're thinking, well, if you have COVID, people can't go to school, increase their internet
Mhm.
connectivities. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do things with the extra windfall for our people, and that, of course, did not happen. You know, they put in $3 billion for Gaisuko. They have made, and I can say this now up front, maybe we could talk about it later, Kati, but they've made
Mm.
the commitment that they're going to open up Rose Hall Station this year.
And it hasn't. We haven't heard anything
Yes.
about that, and no
So,
money in
I
the
mean,
budget for that.
yes, but and everyone knows, it is nothing. We got off. They got off last year because of they said it's flooding. But in this year budget, the biggest ever budget has the lowest ever sugar production in our country,
Yeah.
right? And they keep fooling people. We have nothing as the Alliance for Change. We have zero, zero. We're all for helping our sugar workers, our
Mhm.
workers that lived in that work in Gaisuko. However, think about it. You can either take the money and give it to you so you can and a plot of land so that you could do some rations because of course planting and local goods are a thing. Why have our people at home on a pipe dream that
Mhm.
at the end of the year they will come and say, oh, we sugar didn't do well but we give it $250,000.
Yep.
Why not give the man the opportunity to earn $2.5 million during the course of the year? And that was our biggest issue.
Yeah. Yep. Um. You're absolutely correct, because I think what we're seeing is that more and more funds, billions, are going into Gaisuko, but yet nothing is coming out of Gaisuko. And therefore, your analogy that we would be better off putting that money straight into the hands of the sugar workers for them to purchase a piece of land, to get into another business or something, if we know that the industry is not going anywhere.
Anyway,
And
yeah.
David, you would probably know that I lived in Jamaica for 7 years. And if we look back historically, since the 80s, the sugar estates in Barbados, in Jamaica, in several of the Caribbean islands were closed. They went more into producing molasses and byproducts for the rum industry in Jamaica's case. And that was purely because, with the growth of artificial sweeteners, with the growth of all these other things, the whole world is using less sugar. And therefore, what we're saying is that if the industry is not even meet, it has not met any of the targets for last year and for this year. And all we're
Never
saying is
haven't
that
met.
if it's not going to meet those targets, how do we restructure? No sense putting money into what I call a black hole and it not getting there. So it is sad that the government has not been honest about the state of the sugar industry. But as you said, we are still committed, and we just want them to be able to do something that will directly impact the sugar workers, that industry, and citizens generally. Now, David, one of the things that we
But
were.
Kathy, before you leave that point,
Mhm.
I know you will move on. Coincidentally,
Yeah.
purely coincidentally, today I was speaking to somebody from Barbados, and they were saying to me, because and this discussion of sugar came up, and they're saying to us that when the the Barbadian government decided to diversify out of it. They put their money into education, and because I was saying that I was explaining to them that cane cutting, cane harvesting is a traditional issue, and families grow up with it and so forth since
Mm-hmm.
before thinking. And the lady said to me that it was a deliberate policy of the Barbadian government because they had the same issues that we had in Guyana with sugar, and they put their money into education because they saw that you can't remain a cane harvester all your life. So therefore, they said,
Right.
"Well, listen to me. You have the technical skills, you have the eye-hand coordination. Um, you, you know the basics. So therefore, I will train you to be a semi-skilled uh, mason, carpenter, etc., etc. You can graduate." So they made education free, something which we've been calling for the longest while. You make
Mm-hmm.
education free. They made a vocational Barbados Community College, and they said there's a deliberate ploy to ensure that the cane harvesters and the cane harvesters, the generational person, can move
Yeah.
away from cane without affecting their family's livelihood. And that is
Mm-hmm.
what we've been always been pushing. They're opening before we leave sugar. The Vice President Jack Dio has announced they're opening a oil and gas industry in tech at Port Moran Training School. Port Moran Training School, you come into Port Moran Training School, you're world renowned. You leave Guyana, Lind, Linden Training School, GTI, and Port Moran. You
Mm-hmm.
leave Guyana with a certificate from them. It's internationally renowned. All of a sudden, no background training, no remedial training. You know, what I mean, you haven't done an assessment to see how many people can read and write, basically. How
Yeah.
many people has a subject who can understand the oil and gas industry. You just all of a sudden gonna open up a new oil and gas industry in Port Moran. The basics. Do need do need assessment. Go to your constituency because these are the people in constituency. Find out exactly what the age, do a survey, the age, the demographics.
Mm-hmm.
The young ones, you send them into, they can go to the Port Moran Institute or so. The ones that are older, find something for them to do. Agriculture properly. This slapdash approach that they're doing can't work at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like throwing money, as you said, into a black hole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. You know, what the Jamaicans did too, David, in the 80s, is that they started to push cultivation of um, of flowers, because at the time there was a huge market in Europe for those
Ah,
anthurium lilies,
yes,
for
yes,
those heliconias and so. And
yes,
I remember seeing on TV in, the mid 80s, television ads and radio ads encouraging people that were in the sugar industry to start looking at other crops. And of course, um, exporting flowers to Holland, especially to Europe, for all
yeah.
those fancy hotels and so. I knew people that
Exotic
were
flowers.
getting, that's right. I knew people that were getting, as much as 100 US for two of the special lilies. So there's a market, and all we're saying is that as a country with all these great opportunities, we need to move with the time and to assess what it is that we can gear our population for.
Mm.
Now, David, I know one of the things that was of concern to me was that in the parliament itself, there almost seemed to be a commitment, or they were pushing us not to be able to scrutinize the budget sufficiently. So you and I know that some of those ministries, and we can explain to our viewers that, imagine, for every single ministry, every single region, there is a line, there's a page, and there's specific line items with codes, whether it is employment costs, whether it is monies for traveling, whether it is for a particular project. Everything is clearly outlined in these big fat um, books that are about this thick. And so
Three of
what
them.
we
Three
found,
of them.
three of them, three of those books. And what we found this year is that before, when you would have at least half an hour for a particular ministry, or an hour for some ministries, we had times when they were actually allotting us 10 minutes
10 minutes. Yeah.
to look over an entire ministry or department. And what that meant, that upset me, David, was that we didn't have enough time to ask the pertinent questions. You want to speak to that and share your thoughts on that?
Right. So for our viewers, I will tell you this: the budget is it may be big bucks, but it's just like you as a housewife or a man going to a store. You write down all the stuff that you need to buy. If you do that, people would remember what they want to buy, but some people will write down and say, "You need to buy a pound of sugar, pound of salt, two cabbage, a pound of beef,
Some rice, some
some rice,
whatever.
etc."
Hmm.
And you put a price to it because you have a limited budget. So it comes up to $1,000 or $2,000. But that's our national budget. That's how the 552 billion budget is actually itemized. So the government writes down for their with each and every line item of employment, we're gonna spend so much paying persons wages and salaries and emoluments. We're going to spend so much to repair the house or so forth. But with the biggest budget, right? The biggest budget, which means that because the government took 127 billion dollars, $607 million US dollars, and they put it in the budget. You would have thought, of course, so therefore now, if I'm using the same analogy I used before, the same example I used before, that a housewife or a husband or somebody going to the shop or sending your kids to the shop, if you have more money, you have a longer shopping bill. The shop man gonna take longer to go through the items which you want to tick it off. Because you go through it, and as he give you a sausage, he takes it off and those things like that. You would have expected the government would allow the opposition way more time to go through their shopping list. But what they did this year is they put more money, more items on that shopping list and reduce the time. So by the time you ask the question which says, um, how much beef you're buying, the speaker will get up and say, well, your time is up. You can't ask any more questions. And we found, and I still do find that it defeats the purpose because the people in Region 5 and Region 6 would like to know all of this big budget.
Yep.
The road hard. Once I road the road hard. I mean, it's a saying you got to, when you go on the road, Cathy, the saying you got the road hard in the sense
Yep.
that things have gone up.
Things are hard.
Every single thing, things are
Yep.
hard. You know what I mean, you're
Yep.
earning the same money, but what you can buy with it
With
is
it.
less.
Hmm.
So the people wanted us to ask the road hard in this $552 billion budget. Explain to me how the road can get soft, or how we can do
Hmm.
better. And what the government has done is denied us that opportunity.
Yep.
Complacent. The speaker has been complacent with it because, you know, what I mean, the speaker said he's been in parliament for 6 terms or something like that. And the speaker was in the opposition as well, so he knows what it is
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
be on the other side.
Hmm.
People memories are short and those things like that. So I know I went to a shop today. I won't call it a shop. It was a shop on Mandela, Sheriff Street, Mandela. And the security guard today, as I got out of my car, I had my mask on and everything, social distancing and everything. But he recognized me and he asked
Hmm.
me, pulled me aside to say, why I didn't talk about this in the budget, why I didn't talk about that in the budget, why I
Yeah.
didn't talk about what we're going through in the budget. And I, it sounds like if I'm making an excuse, but I said, but I had time. But the
Hmm.
man said, but that's important to me. The security
Yep.
that's important to me. And that is what the government has denied us
Right.
all the time, you know. So the ordinary person wanted to talk about, want us to raise a certain issue. They want us to talk about NIS. NIS, they've taken the money and they took $1 billion Guyana dollars and stuck into NIS at Barbies River Bridge. They aren't collecting a cent back from it. But the people of Guyana who contributed, every single Guyanese, the sugar workers, the minibus drivers, the nurses, the
The
doctors,
teachers,
the
everybody.
teachers, everybody contribute to NIS. However, NIS ain't getting back any money. So therefore, we have the farcical position where I tell you, whereby the if you have a glasses, you can only change your
Yep.
glass every 3 years, and they only give $15,000 every 3 years. But
Hmm.
you've contributed for 750 contributions, which is about,
Yep. For ye.
years,
Yeah,
15, 20
20 more than
years,
20 years.
more than
Yep.
20 years. And
Yep.
you're thinking that at least you get some reap some benefits. Nowhere at all you get that,
Hmm.
Cathy.
It's really disturbing. And on that point of shortening the time, David, we should remind our viewers that before we would have 5 days, an entire
5 days.
week,
Five
but
days.
this time they shortened it to just 4 days.
Mm.
And this is where the government talks about transparency and accountability. In that case, you would come with the attitude, I want to show you I have nothing to hide. So ask me any question. But we know that that was not the case, which was very unfortunate. Now, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the figure was something like 607 million US dollars from the Natural
Correct.
Resource Fund
Yes,
that
that's
we have
correct.
put
Yes.
into the budget. And I
Correct.
want our viewers to know that one of the things that we were very strong on is that we kept asking all the time, how are you going to spend this 607 million US dollars? As you know, that is money that came that we've earned so far from our oil revenues. And this is where we say in the AFC that we have this tremendous opportunity. David mentioned education. We could have used a portion of that money to make sure UG education and attendance at UG is free from now or
Mm.
free from September.
Mm.
And we didn't hear that. We kept asking, how is this money going to be spent? And I am very concerned still that as a parliamentarian and as a citizen of Guyana, I don't still have a clear idea. But I know that there were some infrastructure projects that they talked about, David. And I know that's your area, and you had some concerns on what you see with regards to how we use our oil revenues and the looking and examining possible infrastructure projects. So, could you speak to us about that and maybe tell us what you would have done with the money?
Thank you. Very good question, Kathy. So, going from the top, when the AP and UFC governments was in, we brought in a bill in 2019, sorry, January 2019, which says that there will be 22 persons that will review how the natural resources funds will be spent. And of the 22 persons, 10, every region would send a representative, um, civil society, transparency in the media,
The media, yeah.
everybody, you know what I mean? So every stakeholder in the country, pro AP and UFC, pro PPP, whoever it is, everybody would have had a say into it, and they would have been the persons who would scrutinize it. What the PPP has done is brought in a five-man committee. Five man, sorry, my apologies, not 5 man, 5 persons,
5 person.
5 person. Of
Mm-hmm.
the 5 persons, the president on his own, so Irfan Ali can choose 3 to 5 persons. The
Mm-hmm.
private sector commission will choose one, and the parliament will choose one. So let's look at that. So Mr. Ali will definitely choose 3 persons who he is comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving out the private sector commission, right? The parliament, which the PPP has the majority, will choose somebody who they're comfortable with,
And a speaker that's supporting them and
and
is
it's
not
free
fair and
whatever they do
objective.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
at minimum, this 5-person committee, as
We'll
opposed
have
to
four
four
pro-government.
pro government committee, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
us region 6, region 5, region 10,
Yep.
everybody having
Yep.
their own
Yep.
so anyway, so we said our fair enough. They said the bill is passed and so what the legal challenges and those things. We don't mind that. So we said moving forward, because you have to move forward all the time, because if not, you've been in inertia. So moving forward, tell us what you're gonna do with this 607 million US dollars,
Mm-hmm.
127 billion Ghana. You're taking it out of this budget. The 5-man committee is not in place. What are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
They refuse to say, to tell us what they're going to do with it. But here are the projects that they're doing. They have $2.4 billion to build a high rise in Guyana. Country has no space issues, land issues. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has been in a high rise complex, not a Marriott. And
Yeah.
when I asked, I said, why are you going to do that? They said so that when I asked, they said that they're going to the land which the Ministry of Public Infrastructure used by the Demerara is valuable land. So what they're going to do is take the money out of the natural resources fund, build a high-rise complex to house the Ministry of Natural Resources, and sell the all the waterfront land where the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is, not Ministry of Public Works, MARA is, to the friends and family. We
Yeah.
objected to that. We objected to that, but they have the update. They're going to spend 100, and folks, I want to listen to this. Here's the number: $104 billion.
Wow.
$104 billion to bring gas to shore. This $104 billion, which works up to 500 and something, 500 something hundred US, is in addition to
Million.
million. In
Mm-hmm.
addition to the 900 million Exxon is spending to bring that pipeline to shore.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to us, why we asked, why are you spending this money? They said as oh, it's for power generation.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this. A generator I built, the AP and UAFC built the most generators, put the most generators in the system than any other 5-year period. The one in Canefield we did, the one in Unvuak we did, the one in Anna Regina and Bartico. So we know
And that's why, David, we had a lot less blackouts
exactly. Exactly.
in the under the APNU AFC. I mean, I've heard people say bring back Pato
But
because we
yeah.
get in liquid blackout all the time.
Yeah, I heard there's actually a blackout right now in certain parts of Georgetown. But
Oh Lord.
folks, I want you to listen to this. So
Yeah.
the price of a generator is known. We have done. We the AP and UFC put 63 megawatts of power into the system in the 4.5 years we were there. The government, and hear me, and the 63 and the price of a generator now worldwide is $1 million per megawatt. So therefore, to put 63 megawatts in place is 63 million US dollars, which we didn't go
Wow.
to Exxon, we did it with our we didn't use any oil money and so forth. We put that among the generators. The
Mm-hmm.
the PPP Kati are going to put in 180 million US dollar, 180 megawatts. And here what they're charging in the budget. And it's a 1 million US a megawatt. So therefore, the most it can cost you is 180 million US dollars. They're charging they're charging and they're taking out 2.5 times that cost. That's in the budget.
Yep. Yep.
$104 billion
Well,
is two and a half times.
people got to get cutbacks, David. You know what's going on.
Yes, I mean, business got to happen. Things got to happen.
We can talk about Sue just now.
Sue got to get it, but you
Yes.
know what? Sue got to get involved in it. But
Mm-hmm.
literally, I'm telling you, folks, you can Google this as I speak. A megawatt of generating power of a generator of megawatt is 1 million US dollars. If you're gonna put 180 million US megawatts, it's 180 million. In this
Yep.
budget, in this budget, they have $502 million for the $180 million thingy. somebody, things gotta happen. And Sherry was said, you know what I mean? Let's fight.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's very sad. David, I know you talked about the gas to shore project. What are some of the other projects that we know? I know they mentioned a Mila, which they're fighting and trying to bring back. Go ahead, David.
A Milo,
Mm-hmm.
a Milo project, and everybody wanna know. So started out, no one knew about the Milo project. No one knew about the PPP. Were even looking at hydroelectric powers in 2011, between 2011 and 2015. First thing the country knew about is a fellow called Fip Motilal was awarded a contract for 15.4 million US dollars to build a road to this Amila project.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody said, well, who? Just like Sue. Who is Sue? Who is Fip? And they said, Kaicho knows, everybody did everything and said, Fip is a real estate agent in Florida.
Florida.
Florida. So anyway, the government set out just like they're saying now, folks, y'all please history repeats itself. Was the most qualified person and the best responsive bid, and they gave Fip Motilal to build the road to Amila. When we got in 20 May 2015, when we checked the records, I mean, God rest his soul, Walter Willis was the engineer.
Mm-hmm.
$45 million it cost the government for that same thing, and it didn't even finish.
Yep.
Then the PPP keeps saying that the IDB has approved the contract. The first meeting former President Granger went into the UN is in September. The IDB brought a big dossier, and I've always said to the PPP, anytime you're ready, anytime, and I probably would have to bring a motion on it. Anytime you're ready to debate the minor falls, you do it. But they've never ever taken it. They only go on social media. The chairman or president of IDB came with a dossier and they gave it to Mr. Granger, Mr. Carl Greenidge. Those are the only two I was there. I didn't sure if finance was there. And the first thing they said to Mr. Granger is, "We are so happy that you have abandoned this project."
Mm-hmm.
He said the IDB and this is the time, Kathy, where everybody's suing everybody. So I'm saying it without fear of any fear of successful contradiction that you can sue me if you want because I know for sure I have it in writing. You know I keep all my records. The IDB
Yeah.
said we have never ever approved the Milo Falls project, but they
Wow.
bring it back now
Mm-hmm.
because it's money for the boys. If you
Mm-hmm.
take a
Mm-hmm.
road, if you award a contract for 50 million and it end up 45 million, you know between 50 and 30 million US how many people get how many sues you got involved.
Yeah. Yep.
I know you're coming to Milo Falls and you said how it can cost 300 million US dollars. You know how many sues, and it's not a Chinese company too. We can come to that though. Another
Mm-hmm.
Chinese
Mm-hmm.
company awarded to. Who the hell is Sue?
Yep. Yep.
It's
But
stupidity.
David, I think that one of the things that the folks in the region 5, region 6 area might be um, happy about, and I think all of us would be happy about once it comes to fruition, is the bridge over the Corentyne River. So,
Right.
so tell us a bit about that
But
and your
right.
thoughts on that.
So before I get to
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, I've said it before, and I've told everybody. Um, there is the Burbage Bridge, and everybody listening, they know the Burbage Bridge has a weight limit, 30 tons. So therefore, obviously, um, I know the businessmen complain that the existing Burbage Bridge, the floating bridge, has a 30 tons weight limit. And
Mm-hmm.
when I did this study, I heard the PPP saying they're going to build a deep water port in Burbage. I did the study. IDB, not David Patterson, not Granger, not Harmon, not Cathy Hughes, nor
Mm-hmm.
anybody
Mm-hmm.
kept done. IDB, International
Yeah, Inter-American Development Bank,
Intermember
reputable people. Yep.
reputable brought in
Mm-hmm.
from Holland,
Mm-hmm.
Netherlands, best people with water and bridge. brought in a company to do a study on a deep water bridge. And the first thing that they said to us as the government is that you could never build a deep water bridge in Berbice because the existing Berbice bridge is in the wrong place.
Wrong place.
It's a
Yeah.
floating bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me, Minister David Patterson, if you want us to look at Berbice, we have to look at Berbice plus a fixed bridge. Right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just telling those people. So all the things they tell you to bring in deep water harbor to Berbice, the containers can't cross there, but crane can't drive across that bridge. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
Cathy, you know this is, and everybody in Berbice knows, to keep the Berbice Bridge Corporation from imposing that high fee,
Yeah.
we
We had to subsidize.
no, not subsidize. We had to put an order, court order against them to
Yeah,
stop it.
because they.
The PPS never removed the order. The Berbice Bridge went to the CCJ to say that the order that I put to stop them in putting in was illegal. They lost that.
Mm-hmm.
The PPP, who and everybody knows that they're their friends, they never removed it because then the second they remove it, $8,000 the car fare goes. Anyway,
Yep.
we get to the Quarantine River. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious issue. Suriname, and we've never agreed, has claimed that they own
Part
the
of the
Quarantine
river.
River up to the high water mark, which means that wherever the high
Mm-hmm.
tide reach on Guyana, that is where
Mm-hmm.
they own. And we have never ever, as a government, AP and UFC, never ever agreed that because that is not what the agreement says. We are billing, and it's the exact same thing that's happening with the ferry. We Guyana went to European Union and we invested in a ferry. We brought them, and when the ferry was about to open, Suriname says, "No, we own the ferry. We own the river, so we got to own the ferry." And but the PPP and government they conceded that. So you'll be building a bridge, and we've always said to the Surinamese, the AP and EFC, we have no problem building a bridge. However, when this bridge is built, it has to be joint ownership.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to build a bridge there. The toll booth will be over in Suriname because you pay one. You pay one. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the
One way.
tolls will be over. The toll booths will be over in thing. And Region 5, you're going to suck salt. Region 6, you're going to suck salt. The Surinamese are going to come over, and we welcome them here. I mean, they carry come, but they must not do that on the back of us, right?
Yep. Yep.
They're coming here, and it should be a mutual arrangement. So the Surinamese will say, if they haven't said to the government, they will say just before the bridge open, we own the river, so you got to pay me back for this bridge. You got all the tolls that will be collected over in the Suriname half, and this money will go back to us. The guy needs to get no benefits whatsoever. And that is one of the positions I know Carl Greenidge,
And
myself, has been always like, the
yep.
bridge will benefit both Suriname and Guyana. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
50-50. But these guys are clueless. They will sell they will sell out almost anything for something. They have never ever said, Ejil, Todd, Irfan, Barrett, what happens to the issue of ownership of this bridge? All they tell you,
Yep.
they built a bridge.
Right.
Cathy?
And
Yeah,
David, we know what you're saying is valid and true because you remember we've had problems just with the ferry. And
exactly,
remember we had issues with the minibus drivers and
exactly,
how they were treated.
exactly,
So already, the issue of our territorial integrity and the challenges we've seen, we had many occasions where at one stage the ferry service actually stopped. You remember?
exactly. That's
Because
because
the Surinamese were not paying their part
refused to pay up to
to
now.
pay.
Up to
Yep.
now, the Surinamese has not paid a single cent because they thought they know that they held out, and they
Mm-hmm.
know the people are weak, right? We held out. We said you pay your own fair share and those things like that. Ladies Jeremy, you can
Yep.
remember,
Yep.
and I'm sure everybody in Region 6 and Region 5 knows what happened. You
Yep.
can take
Yep.
a minibus from Georgetown and you could go to Molson Creek. You could jump on the but when you get to Molson Creek, that minibus can't go into Suriname. But
Right.
vice versa, the Surinamese can take a minibus from Paramaribo, come to South Drain, come over to Moses. You can come all the way down into
All the
the
way down. Yeah, yeah,
all the
yeah.
passengers, right?
Yep, yep,
All
yep.
and we put a stop to that. We put our foot down. It's gone back,
Mm-hmm.
and the people know because the PPP are very, very, very weak, very, very narrow-minded. They don't think about Guyanese. They only think about themselves. Photo opportunities at Edula planting a flag, and he doesn't realize when he plant the flag and take those things, he's selling the Guyanese countries out, the
Yep.
Guyanese population out. You know what I mean? So, and everybody knows that. You know that when you get over from people from quarantine, when launch a crossover, you had to take a Surinamese minibus from South Drain to Paramaribo. But when it
Right.
comes to Guyana, the minibuses
It's
are
a different
driving
story.
free and easy, free and
Yep.
easy. You
David,
know,
I
so
want us, because I know we are going to start running out of time. There are a couple of the agencies like GGMC that we did not get to examine.
mm,
Um, can you just briefly mention some of those and the fact that the scrutiny that it should have gotten, it didn't get? And
right,
then I certainly want us to go to um, two items that have been very popular and in the news, and that is, of course, the whole Sue story and the allegation of impropriety with regard to the VP.
right.
So, you want to just mention
So
some of the age?
very
Mm-hmm.
quickly on the GGMC under the ministry, the GGMC, forestry, the Guyana Gold Board, all of
Gold
these
board.
gold board, they come under the ministry of natural resources, and we wanted to examine what's going on with them. The speaker
Mm-hmm.
disallowed that. He said to us that whatever, but didn't make sense to us. We objected, but ladies and gentlemen, for the people, the loggers in Kokwani, we want to look at forestry. What's going
Yeah.
on with forestry?
Mm-hmm.
How is it being managed? Where they're getting the monies? Who they're giving logging concessions to? But we couldn't look at it
Yep.
because the speaker disallowed it. The gold board
Yep.
in the lowest ever
Yep.
declaration in 5 years of the gold board. Where is the gold going? Are people not declaring it and
Mm-hmm.
smuggling it out? You know, thought they had a big scandal
Mm-hmm.
in Aruba, 400 something ounces of gold disappeared
Yep.
on PPP and those things like that. We wanted to say, to, well, listen to me. Is it a question of gold not being produced or gold not being declared? And we asked, the speaker said we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't address that. You know what I mean? So, and then you go to GGMC. In particular, for the indigenous community, the Amerindian Act of 2006 says that if somebody mines on an indigenous land, 20% of that royalties goes into fund for the indigenous people,
Mm-hmm.
Amerindian Development Fund. We wanted to find out how much actually went in, right?
Yep.
How much?
Yep.
So he disallowed all of that. So
Yep.
folks, we're in a bad
Um.
way. A lot of money running around, a lot of sues. I can say it
Yep.
now up front. A
Yep.
lot of sues
Yep. And
making gains.
David, I know that everybody would be aware of the interview and the allegations were made. And I don't need to say much, but most Guyanese know how the story go.
Mm,
Guyana is a very small place,
mm,
and it's not now. It's for years. For years, um, these kinds of issues have been raised.
mm,
One of the things that was very coincidental was, of course, we have this reporter. I take my hat off to her. And I had a good laugh when she was saying that she hasn't even presented the full report. So I
mm,
think we're in for a lot of further revelations.
mm.
And knowing the way those folks operate, they only open their mouth when they got proof. But what I want to say to you is that there was a contract for the Demerara Bridge that was cancelled. And
Yes.
strangely enough, there seems to be a connection with the two. So I don't know if you would shake, and I'll ask you to be very careful. I certainly don't want them to sue you more than they are trying to
And they
pull you down.
honestly, yes, yes, yes.
But
They've been,
yeah,
yeah.
you want to explain that in the
So
context
right,
because of Sue, of course, you know.
yes, no, right. So it's no secret. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I speak, the lawyers come out and they run and they sue. You know what I mean? And they have me in court and so. The most times is the lawyers are making the money. Anyway, Damrara Harbor Bridge in November last year. In November last year, cabinet gave approval for the contract. You know, you hear no objection to have
Right.
a contract
A new
negotiated,
bridge.
a new bridge,
Mhm.
and
And we
they
should say that you had already started working on
already
that,
started
had
this.
done
They went a
tremendous
new
work.
location, no
Yes,
new
yes,
studies. They
yep.
said how they
And
had to
David,
buy.
you know what? David, you know what I want to say? Because this is something that really aggravated me during the budget hearings.
Hmm.
Prior to our 5 year term, the PPP had 23 years. In those 23 years, we didn't see a new bridge
Absolutely nothing.
emerge. So many
Absolutely
of the
nothing.
things that they criticize and say, what did you all do in the 5 years? It's amazing that in 23 years they did not do that. You know?
Absolutely
And
nothing.
that's part of the challenge we have today
Yeah,
with Guyana not having the requisite infrastructure.
yeah.
You know?
No. So
Sorry, please go
absolutely
ahead.
nothing. So when I got in, it
Yeah.
was absolutely nothing. You mean I'm not
Yeah.
only talking about the bridge, and we could do the Linden to Lethem Road.
Road.
Absolutely nothing. Under
Yeah.
our government, we went to the DFID and got the money,
Mm-hmm.
which they're now talking about it, and they're calling it a super highway and those things like that. They did absolutely nothing. But the bridge, time is running out, and I'm looking at the
Yep.
countdown.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so they went and they got approval from cabinet, no objections to have a discussion with the first name Indian Chinese company.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the vice president Jagdeo himself and said it's the best value for money.
Mm-hmm.
When the lady interviewed him, and she says, I have seen contracts. And she
Mm-hmm.
asked him about the Damrara Harbor Bridge first, right? Do you think? And then she said, I have seen contracts which says though that you've taken a bribe.
Mm-hmm.
His instinctive result, first time the country is going to know about it, he said, oh no, who? Those Chinese? Because he doesn't know what they have. Oh, we terminated that. We gone to the second, first time we ever,
Better.
first
Mm-hmm.
time the country ever know that. Because as we said in our press release today or yesterday, we suspect that the contract and whatever happened there, whatever Sue do or Sue did or did not do, is in the
Mm-hmm.
contract is which the Americans have. So therefore, to what you call damage control, you say, oh shucks,
Mm-hmm.
but they catch me pants with my pants down.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of number one, they gone to number two. But what he doesn't realize is the whole process.
Yeah.
Because you know, I mean, wherever there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
Because so it's a great mystery. I mean, as a
Yep.
country,
Yep.
and one of its manifesto promises is to build a new Demerara Harbor Bridge. They awarded a contract, no objection to contract in November. Soon as Vice meet news turn up, bow, you hear first time ever.
Yep. Yep.
The
Well,
man that
David.
said to do it, he charging me too much. And he was the man that said to you were was the lowest bidder.
Yep. Well, I think that we're going to. This is not the end of that story, and we will wait to see the report and what comes out. But it is really sad that having been given this tremendous gift and opportunity, we don't seem to be making sure that we're going to make the best of it. And I want to raise it in the context of even the 250,000 that was given to the former sugar workers that were terminated, and also the various grants that have been given. The one-off 19,000, the 25,000, etc. I want Guyanese to start thinking that with this volume of money, we should be getting not a one-off little donation. We should be at a minimum, that minimum wage, should be, as we've talked about, 100,000,
$1,000. Yeah.
which means that the 200,000 that you think you're getting now, you would make that in the 2 or 3 months, the 3 months. So we mustn't be thinking, oh, this is great again, 19,000. I was very disappointed, and I raised this question that you would be giving out 11,000 tablets when you got 200,000 children that are in school.
Yeah.
And with COVID and all these other things, surely you would have been given, you should have been able to give every child a tablet or a computer so that they can do, they're not locked out of online learning if that's what we're going to have to stick to. So, there's so many things in this budget. What we realize is people don't have any more money in their pocket.
Mm.
And we're saying with all these oil revenues, it mustn't only be the government and Exxon making money, but the ordinary Guyanese people. So we're going to have to be vigilant. We're
Mm.
going to have to be very aware. Now, David, we had a very unfortunate situation with regard to Minister Nigel Dharamlal and his very abusive comment to a female. And we can call it Dildo Gate. But what I want to say, why I'm raising this, is that, we have enough proof now of how members of the PPP government look and treat women. And what was sad in that situation is that today everybody knows Sherrod Duncan was suspended, but the man that uttered the words has not been sanctioned. If you look at the video, there are a good couple minutes after where the speaker never says, Mr. Dharamlal, you are out of order. How dare you say that to a minister, to a member of parliament, to any woman? Apologize immediately. And that's why I say that we can just see the clear indications and bias.
Oh,
And I'm urging people today to advocate that we cannot just accept an apology
but
from the
what
minister.
apology
David,
though?
your thoughts on this?
What apology? He made a statement in the parliament.
Exactly.
And then,
Exactly.
of course, when he realized his statements was done, his PR people say you got to say more on those things. Like that. But here is my position. The, he and the videos and the photographic evidence are there. He was saying derogatory things to women even before that
Yep.
comment,
Yep.
racist comments.
Mm-hmm.
Derogatory things to about and everything. He's very very pompous young fellow. Um,
Yep.
the speaker has been thinking. He was even insulted to the speaker. The speaker at one time tried telling him to move on, and he refused to do that. Right? So, but the speaker,
Yeah.
of course, the speaker is the speaker. So we didn't worry with that here. So, but here is what it is. Sherrod, Sherrod came in and objected to the thing he's saying, and Sherrod didn't even curse. Sherrod said, "This is a nasty man. Your comments are nasty, and Mr. Speaker, you're encouraging
This kind of
abuse, this
discussion.
kind
Yeah.
of things." The speaker on the night on Wednesday night asked Gail Teixeira to move a motion to suspend him, and it was incorrect.
Yeah.
When this was pointed out to them, they corrected it on Thursday night. On Wednesday, they suspended Sheriff for 4 days based on their and then of course they had to correct it because they did it all wrong. They did it last Thursday night for additional 4 days. So Sheriff has been suspended for 6 days. The first 2 days,
Oh,
right? The first 2 days they didn't even take into consideration, and then 4 additional days. Niger Damlal has said the most derogatory thing in public. I saw Anug and I was happy to see that. Has called today for him to be removed as MP. Every
yeah.
other right to the
He
system.
should have been suspended too at a minimum.
Right, yeah. But our speaker will
Yep.
not he will
And
not
that's
do that.
why,
Right? He will
yeah,
not
and
do that.
that's yeah, and that's why I'm raising it. So everybody that thinks that we are not facing a challenge in the parliament in terms of bias and unfair treatment. This is just another clear example, because at a minimum, then suspend both. And for the record, the minister is also unfamiliar with the truth,
Yes.
because he was
Right.
there and he knows that Sherrod Duncan had
Was
not been in that room.
was not in the room
Sherrod
when
Duncan was
Sharak
actually
came in the room
in
because of
our
that.
room. Exactly. He was
Came in the room
actually
because of that.
in
The
the opposition
opposition
MP
room,
room watching the video feed.
and it flew
And he
out of
was
it.
so aghast that the discussions could stoop so low that he ran in angry and made the comments. But
But but but
folks,
but Katya,
David,
I have to say this about the speaker.
yeah.
I submitted a motion on flaring, and you know, and I'll continue submitting motions on the oil and gas industry. The next motion I'm going to bring is insurance. After that, I'll talk about the fisher folks, because there's a tremendous thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to get it on the record, and I want to get the PPP on the record of saying that supporting Exxon, because these are things that are inevitable. Something will happen. And when it happens, they can't blame the APNU, you can't blame the fisher folks, they can't blame it. It's all
Yep.
on. I submitted a motion in February last year, 2021, on flaring. That was disallowed. I submitted a motion to the speaker in October of last year. It took him 3 months to approve it.
Yep.
And how it was approved, I had to debate the motion 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. Nobody's looking,
Deliberately.
nobody's saying deliberately,
Yeah.
you know.
Deliberately.
And
Yeah.
and he wants to give the impression that that he is singing. So you know
But
what I mean. So
David,
yeah,
but David, we didn't even get to debate the motion on the flooding.
yes, we brought
The
the motion
most
of flooding.
critical thing,
Yes,
Region
at the
5 and
time,
Region 6
six. Yeah, we're underwater.
suffering underwater. And imagine, we could not even discuss in the parliament the issue and come up with some solution to help better. But folks, we are out of time. David, I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Yeah.
I want to thank the residents of Region 5, Region 6, all of Guyana, everybody that's watching. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I want to thank DTV Channel 8 as usual. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time and your patience. I think we went over a few minutes. And folks, be safe. The curfew is lifted, but you still must wear your mask. Still protect yourself.
Social
Take
distances
care. Social
and
distance.
get
Uh,
vaccinated.
get vaccinated. Always the best thing. Get vaccinated. And your booster if you haven't taken
If
it too.
you
I
have,
have. And David has.
yes.
Take care. Have a good week. Thank you all.
Barbies, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the thing. I actually, I'm sure I've been getting messages on the phone, Kati, saying, "No, lovely program," and those things like that. We
Great.
bring you the
Great.
facts.
We'll be back.
Yes, we'll be back. So thank you
We'll
very
be
much
back.
for having us, folks. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.